Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. This is Dr. Lorenzo Woodson coming to you again. It's Friday. I wanted to bring to you a topic today about the Constitution and its ability to evolve as a um, document that is full of ideas, but these ideas cannot remain stagnant, particularly if they're built on a prescription of ideas that promoted hate. Thank you for joining me. If you like, please press the like button and the share button and join. And remember to share. All right, now let's look at this subject matter. This morning I talk about the Constitution is a mix of components that creates a system of remedies to mitigate problems for the moral majority. Let me say that again. The Constitution is a mix of components that create a system of remedies to mitigate problems for the moral majority. The Constitution is made up of ideas, just as a constitution is a solution to an illness or to a problem. And I want to give you an example of that. Imagine you're ill, and many people are ill, like with the COVID virus. The pharmaceutical industry and the chemists have to put together compounds, ingredients, chemicals, compounds, and ingredients into a constitution to bringing it together to find a solution, hopefully to build a prescription that would help the masses overcome this problem or mitigate the problem. And in that process, they have to test it. And in the process of testing it, it evolves. New ways and new problems emerge that they have to say, this is not safe enough. This is not the remedy to mitigate the problem. And they go back to the drawing board and they re-examine and reevaluate the components, internal and external, the human body and the virus and its interaction and its correlation. And they look at past performance of information related to that current virus. They see a relationship, a correlation of that past virus to this new coronavirus. And they reevaluate the prescription that goes into the constitution of the prescription or the medical remedy before they release it out to the moral majority, the masses. Well, let's look at the Constitution that way. In our history, when the Constitution was made, it was made by a group of people with a mindset that did not take into account people of color. It only took into its mindset of ideals based on their race only. based on the white European race. And not only just their race, but they took it into account to benefit them because they were the elite class. So they wanted to make a prescription that was constituted for them to hold on to power. And this constitution was made on the foundation and components of patriarchy, power, class, hierarchy, and racism. These are the components that went into the prescription of the ideals that constitute the outcome, the product. It worked for them for a time, but across time, the physical body, the country, the ecology, the environment changed. And the ignorance of those who created the prescription constituted the prescription did not tend to look back at these changes as relevant. They just kept holding on to that same prescription, not evolving it, not changing the components of the prescription in the Constitution to meet the demands of the physical and ecological changes that were taking place in the body of this country. Now, I'm speaking to you as if though from a medical term and from a chemistry medical framework, just to show you a correlation and a relationship. This lack of will to hear the people say this prescription is not working in these areas was ignored. Some of the very things in the amendments, which are the components of the Constitution, have been left to linger based on the foundation and the ideals derived from that foundation are causing harm. Let me tell you what I mean. One of the constitutional amendments sees African American people not equal to them as property. That needs to change. It needs to be removed. It does not need to be a component of the Constitution prescription for this country. It needs to be removed. That component to the prescription needs to be removed because it causes harm to the physical body of this country. We see that evolution of harm being played out across this country right now. Somehow the chemistry of those people it's harming, the body that is being harmed, is actually growing from other components of the prescription. The body has attached to it as a normal form of natural survival. People of color have moved along accepting what is viable to their survival, like freedom. And they fight within that body with that. And sort of like the antibody, they become used to it. And it's absolutely created some more change within that Constitution, killing off the white cells, making them less powerful. This is something that's being realized politically in this country when we look at white folk becoming the moral minority or the global minority. Or here in the US, the national minority. Because they refuse to look at the Constitution and the ecology of the Constitution effects are now taking on a course all its own. For every action is a reaction. People adjust. People are resilient. Societies are resilient. But societies also change when they have something that drives them. The Constitution drives us, but it has components within it that cause harm. We want to begin to bring this to light, and that's what I'm doing here today. I want you to understand that the Constitution needs to evolve. It cannot remain a stagnant prescription for a new evolving problem. This is the issue that we're facing in this country. Right now, this country is at a point where one particular cancer is now being almost eliminated because it will not respond because it's dying. The cancer is dying because the very prescription that was given in some ways has turned to a benefit. And the red blood cells now are emerging and killing that cancer. So in the real sense, the prescription itself, those components that do work are working. But they're only working because the negative, unhealthy component is driving it. That is what I mean to say. It is driving it. It's creating more red blood cells to defend itself against the cancer. And they thought that by having it, it would drive us. The more white cells would eat up the red blood cells. But it's not. The opposite is happening. So in a sense, the Constitution was created with good ideals, but it had some components in it that were poison. But it didn't realize that the major components have driven those it once supposed to have brought forth this great idea has now been attached to those who are oppressed by that idea. They have taken it on and they believe in it spiritually, emotionally, physically, economically, and they're driving it. And it's killing the cancer. If you understand what I mean, this is a complex issue. I tried to make it as simple as possible. But this is a problem that needs to be solved. I think the moral majority has found their way through resiliency to still make something out of the Constitution, to still make something out of the Constitution. And we need to keep moving it. We need to keep reevaluating it and pulling out the poisons from it so it can evolve and it can bring back in some of those white cells. We need some of those white cells, but they don't need to dominate. There needs to be an ebb and flow, is my point. So let's keep fighting. And join me next time. If you like the video, please like it and share it. And I'll see you next time.